Hey there, Chris Courtney here from New Pragmatic. If you're watching this, I'm guessing that you're new to Gatsby.js and you're just wanting to kind of get a better understanding of how to set yourself up to use this amazing new framework. So follow along and I'll help you get started. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and open Terminal. You can do that. You can also open PowerShell if you're on a Windows machine. But here I've got Terminal open and I'm going to go ahead and maximize that window and zoom in just to make it a little easier for you to see what's going on. So the first thing that we're going to do to get ourselves up and running with Gatsby is we're going to check the version of Node that we have installed. You will need to have Node installed, and if you're wondering what to do to get that installed, simply go grab a copy of Node from nodejs.org and you should be able to get, and if you're on a Windows machine again, that your version of it will come up here. You can also go into other downloads, or actually go into the download section and you can see there's a Windows installer, a Mac OS installer, and then a source code, and then the source code. But for right now, let's come back because we've already got Node installed. We can see it's version 10.15.1. I'm just going to go ahead and really quickly check npm as well. That's Node Package Manager, and obviously it would help if I would spell version correctly. But there you go. We're at 6.4.1. The goal here is to make sure that these two resources are available to you because Gatsby is going to need them. Another thing that Gatsby will need, and it's probably a good idea to go ahead and check to see if we have it, is it's going to need Git. On the Mac, we're just going to check to make sure that we have it installed with git -- version. Of course, it's here. If you don't already have it installed, it's really easy to actually get that installed. So it'd be xcode select -- install. And here you're going to see I get the error because I already have it installed. But for you, you would get a prompt that would give you a pop-up, and upon selecting that, that would install a whole list of command line tools, including Git. If you're on Windows, I would go to Git for Windows and download Git Bash. That said, the next thing we're going to do is actually install the Gatsby CLI. So I will say npm install -- global because we want to be able to use it anywhere. Gatsby -CLI. And this will take just a second to install. For me, this is going to be a quick update. Really, that is all that you need to get started. That's all the installation we'll need to do here to actually spin up our first Gatsby projects. So the next step here, we're actually going to create a project. So I'm going to type in npx Gatsby new, and then we want to give our project a name. And actually, I want to back up real quick because I've been installing all of this in the main directory of my user directory. I actually want to go into a project folder before I begin creating this. So I'm going to go ahead and check out where I'm at. I'm going to cd into projects. So once I'm in a project folder, that's when I feel comfortable creating new projects. So now I can come back and say npm Gatsby new, and then I need to give the project a name. For this case, I'm going to call it np Gatsby, just New Pragmatic Gatsby, and I'll go ahead and hit start. The next thing we need to do is we actually need to go into the project itself. So I'm going to cd into np Gatsby, which is the project name I'm using. You can use obviously whatever project you would like to use. And now I'm in that folder. So let's go ahead and list out and see what we've got. The big area when you're getting started, the area that you're going to want to focus all of your attention on is right here in this src folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in code dot to fire up VS Code, and we're going to go ahead and zoom in here and take a look at what Gatsby's giving us. I'm not going to go too in depth on this because we are just kind of spinning up a project and seeing what that process is like. But know that you have components, images, and pages. And this is where the bulk of the work that's going to be happening with your project is going to live at, is right here in this SRC folder. As you begin to build out more robust sites, you'll obviously do a lot of work here in components, because you'll want to create as many reusable components as possible. This is your bin of Legos. But really, what we want to do is we want to basically work on this index file. And instead of saying hi people, I'm going to say welcome to New Pragmatic. I'll go ahead and save that. And now what we can do is we can actually see how these changes are being rendered. If we go back to our terminal really quickly, I'm going to type in Gatsby develop. And this will spin up a local server. And this local server will show us in real time all the updates that are happening to our project. Once this is finished loading, all we'll need to do now is go to localhost 8000. Also, pay close attention. It gives you this in-browser IDE for parsing data out of GraphQL. That's something that we'll come back to in a future video to show you how to extract files out of the database that is really powering this Gatsby site. But for right now, we're just going to go with the localhost 8000. We'll paste that in there. And as you can see, the Gatsby default starter says, welcome to New Pragmatic. It will be a little smaller than that. And if we wanted to go back and make a few changes, welcome to your new Gatsby site. This is a demo for video use. We'll save it. And now when we come back over, you can see this is a demo for video use. There's no refreshing the page. It handles itself, and it's just a really handy thing to have that comes right out of the box with the Gatsby command line interface. So with that, what we want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and shut down the server. The next thing that we want to do is we want to actually put this through a build so that we can actually get this ready to ship off utilizing a service called Surge. To do that, we're going to now type in Gatsby build, and what you'll see happen is you'll see Gatsby actually create and populate a public folder. This public folder is what we're actually going to push online, and that's actually the static site. The static site is generated on your side of the deployment cycle, and then when we deploy, only that static public folder is going to actually be made available online. And because all of the pages are baked out ahead of time, and that's why Gatsby is so much faster than something utilizing like WordPress. It's not putting the parts of the pages together on the fly, it's doing that all ahead of time. So now that we have that public folder created, and you can see that here now, that public folder was not there before. So now what we'll want to do is install Surge. Surge is the platform that we're going to be utilizing for rapid deployment of this Gatsby project. For my purposes, I'm going to need to super user do to push this through, and then I'll say npm install -- global Surge. Enter my password, and then as you can see, it did not take very long. The reason I had to use super user do is I already had Surge installed and it did not want to reinstall it. But for the purposes of our demo, we went ahead and used sudo for that. So now that Surge is installed, it's really easy to deploy. It's simply surge./public. And as you can see, it's utilizing my student account that I have for Surge. It says the project is that public folder, and it says the domain here is faintfamilysurge.sh. Know that you could actually go back through and change that. So if I wanted to say happy potato, I could, and now I'll hit enter, and just like that, Surge has published this to happy potato. Let's go ahead and go take a look at this URL and see how it came out. and at happypotato.surge.sh, we actually have this working demo. So I hope that was helpful to give you a head start on getting Gatsby up and running for your site. If you're coming out to one of the New Pragmatic events, we're obviously going to be going much further in depth into Gatsby, looking at GraphQL, looking at how to create customized pages and components inside of Gatsby. But if you're not going to be able to come out to the event, I hope that you can use this demo as a really quick way to get yourself up and running. I'm Chris Courtney from New Pragmatic. Thanks for joining us.